husband trying to drive his wife insane. You may remember the Oscar-worthy film version, Gaslight, starring Ingrid Bergman, Charles Boyer, and Angela Lansbury. Artistic director Gina Michaelis and director Mary Wright now follow up their suite on Golden Pond with this study in sustained terror, Angel Street. Call right away for an interesting day of theater here today on Desert Entertainment This Week. I'm Don Martin, of course, your host. Here today, hosting Gary Walker once again, because it's all theater today. Shirley Ross Shapiro and Ed Harbor, who are starring at the Jocelyn in Angel Street, which, as we all know, is the theatrical version of Gaslight, where the greedy husband wants to kill his wife. Well, I'll let you folks talk about that, but what we're talking about is it's coming up the first week in March. You're going to open and run for how long?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah. 3 weeks, good. And what a wonderful cast, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Now, Ed, I welcome you to the show, and I'm happy that you're here, but since I was amiss in the information, I'm going to let Gary let the folks know about you,
Well,
because
first
I've
of all,
seen
Don,
you in many things.
Don is never amiss. We asked Ed to come today, and he did show up. We weren't expecting him, and we're glad he's here. But Ed has won 5 Desert Theater League Awards. He's wonderful in everything I've seen him, and he's got one of the great voices.
He does indeed.
Thank you.
And we were talking about who the characters are in the play and who they come across as. They are total opposites of the characters they play. But anyway, glad to have Ed here.
Indeed, and just to give Shirley equal time, I love your background, being an immigrant in Yentl, and of course, unusual appearances like being on To Tell the Truth as a fake author.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the work you did with the, what was it, an improv troupe in LA? You said it was a writing group.
Yes, it was a writing group, so it gave the opportunities for the writers to show their work and to see if they needed to fix it up at all, and so I would act that.
And as a former musician, performer, the other one that caught my eye was The Travelers.
Oh, right.
When you were traveling with Cy Grant.
Cy Grant.
Yeah, was that really like a road show?
Well, yes, but we didn't tour out of Liverpool. We had to tour on the Liverpool environ, shall we say. Environs. They couldn't say that proper there. Anyway, no, that was like the first sense of, it felt like real showbiz, you know, visiting the prisons.
Sure. Oh, well.
Oh, yeah. Visiting the prisons. And you looked at these guys, and, you know, in England, they're dead rough, like, you know, with the big shoulders. They were slightly different than the crowd you have here. But
now, what accent do you use in this play?
I'm a lady.
Uh-huh.
I'm a lady, and I've got to be so quiet because he's terribly domineering. But it's so prevalent though to today, because even though all those years ago you say that time could never happen again with a, you know, with a domineering male.
The Victorian era.
The Victorian era. You know, in fact, I mean, for me, that's what I had to find in this role myself, because I'm a comedian, really.
But there are many women who are going to find similarities in relationships.
Do you find it
they've had.
threatening? Do you find it threatening?
No, but it really
exciting.
It is a study in terror, sustained terror of a husband against his wife for nefarious reasons.
Oh, it really does. Yeah. I mean, it sends shivers at my spine, that's for sure.
Yeah,
and there was no shelter from the storm or anything.
Exactly.
I mean, there was no place at that time for a woman to go. I mean, thank God, at least now there are venues and
not much in England.
Yeah, no.
And the husband could make outsiders believe anything.
Oh, yeah.
And what about a role like this, Ed? Do you live with this in your daily life, or you walk away from it?
The minute, as soon as I can, I let go of it. I've never played anyone like this. I mean, I've played some unpleasant characters, but I've never played a monster like this.
And charming monster.
And he does it
yes,
so
and that's
nicely.
it. It has to be that under the radar monster, but you know he is.
She wouldn't have fallen in love with him if
exactly.
Well,
yeah.
You know, and he does it so well. And
thank you.
It's such an opportunity in these small theatres.
Look, now we ruined the image.
But in these small theatres, you know, you have an opportunity of playing a role that might never come your way.
Well, let me ask you about being in a small theater. These kinds of shows, I think, work better in a small theater than on the big stage, because
I would think.
The arc between the audience and the actors has to be so hot.
And what's wonderful about our director, Mary Wright, is that she wants this to look like the sitting room, like you know, as she describes to us, that fourth wall is not a wall, it's sheer glass. And she wants, and you know, she says, I'll break all the rules, but this way you're walking in to that living room. And you really do, you know, we as actors, it's a very different energy, and it's tremendous. You know, you really get the...
and all the more because the audience is with you, but of course they can't
touch you.
Can't be in it, so that tension grows.
Right.
But this is where the tech comes in. The tech has to be really good, because if you can see the seams on this, if you can see people moving behind it, moving the curtain and stuff like that when they're supposed to be off stage, it doesn't work. It has to be absolutely focus on the characters, riveting performance. You can't be distracted by bad tech. So how's the tech gone?
Actually, you know,
we don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
haven't had your tech rehearsal.
We haven't had our techs yet.
That's next weekend.
Next week. But as it is now, it's progressing really nicely, isn't it?
Yes.
It's coming to a point now where you can, you know, I know this woman, you know, and I quite like the revenge.
Yeah.
I bet you do.
What is Ed? What is tell them about why your character is treating her this way?
Well, he's unhinged, for one thing. I mean, you know, I hadn't seen the film for a while, and when I was rereading the script, I said, oh, this guy's just a bastard, you know, and then when I'm reading it, I said, oh, no, he's much more than that. He's venal. He has done this before. He would do it again had he had the opportunity. He's just completely amoral.
But why is he doing it? What's he looking for?
The money, the jewels.
The jewels. Jewels hidden in the attic.
Hidden jewels, yes. And
so he disappears, and then she hears noises, and
it's quite spooky.
Yes,
it's quite spooky, isn't it? And then you really, and I'm hoping that it's really coming across that way, which they say it is, that they're not sure. Is she mad or isn't she mad?
Right.
Oh, is it really happening?
Or is it really happening?
imagining?
Or is he, the inspector, a figment of her imagination?
Yeah, it's not unlike Dial M for Murder.
Right.
In that sense, where she can't get people to believe her until almost it's too late.
Right.
Well, she doesn't know herself.
And she doesn't know herself. Doesn't know why it's happening. You have two other really interesting characters in there. You have Nancy. And you have
played by Louise Ross,
and the detective,
who's doing very well. Oh, and Detective Peter Nicholson, who's doing very well, and we must mention also Joan Wicks, right?
Yep.
Who's doing a nice little job there too.
But tell about Nancy, because Nancy was played by Angela Lansbury in the original.
Yes.
And for those people,
was the detective Leo Carroll in the Broadway version?
Yes, it was.
But anyway, Angela Lansbury was nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for her very first film for this. So what kind of gal is she?
Wow.
Well, I mean, she has quite a little snogging sessions going on here. And they both look like they're quite enjoying it, I must tell you. It was very interesting.
Well, I told Louise, I said, I think I've kissed you more this week than I have my other half.
The theater.
Yes.
Did we get a picture up there of Bergman and Boyer? The original film stars, and we didn't put it up if they didn't forget
What's so lovely for me is that
there they are.
There they are.
Oh, do you know what? They used to say that my mother looked very like Ingrid Bergman.
Oh,
so to me,
not Charles Boyer.
That was probably my father.
And of course, the British version 4 years earlier, film, before the
Diana Wynyard, Anton Walbrook, and then when it came.
I was going to ask, excuse me for interrupting, but was this called Angel Street because the house was on a street called Angel Street, or how?
I don't know why it was named, but it was originally Gaslight.
It was in England. In England, it was only Gaslight.
It was only Gaslight.
There's not one mention of Angel Street.
But the thing was that there were legal reasons when Columbia bought the rights, and they wanted to make the picture. And what they wanted to do, they thought they had bought up all the negatives of the original Anton Walbrook thing, but it survived.
All right, I've got to tell the audience, Thursday through Sunday, March 6th to the 22nd.
No, we got another minute.
Johnson Center Theater.
We have another minute. We have 10 minutes for this segment. We got another minute. We're not going to short. I don't care.
Oh. Sorry, the producer says we have lots of time. Well, Ed, I was going to ask you about your background in theater. Then that discussion about why and when is probably timely. I was just curious about that. I read someplace that the house was on Angel Street.
Well, that may be the case, but the point was that Gaslight was tied up as a title, and that's why they went to another one. And when it came to Broadway, it starred Vincent Price. Imagine how good that was.
And of course, with movies, you can name them the same as another movie, so that didn't matter. So the
Right.
movie is Gaslight.
And Gaslight didn't, have any particular. It did okay, but when Gaslight came out with Bergman and Boyer, it was the best movie of the year.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that this comes out the best
Now we can
play
wrap
of the
it.
year, right?
Now let's wrap.
All right, so we're talking about the Joslin Center Theater production of Angel Street, a.k.a. Gaslight, with Shirley Ross Shapiro and Ed Harbour in the leading roles, and we want you to go out and see that. And thank you on our wrap here to Dorothy Hamilton from Maple Leaf Plumbing for supporting this show as she does, and the arts valley-wide. And that, folks, is the last word on Desert Interview.
The people is his only thought.